This is Dorothy with Scrapbooking. Thank you for coming back to my channel. And I am showing you the Close to My Heart stamp of the month for February. And it's this beautiful pansy stamp that has clusters and little bouquets. And if you get it with the thin cut, look at all these thin cuts that you get. I mean, you can get, depending on your order, if it's 50 or more, you can get the stamp of the month for $5, but if you want it with the thin cuts, it's about $20, $19.95. To me, all that cutting is well worth it, and I happen to adore pansies. So I went ahead and cut all of the thin cuts and cut, at least 3 or 4 of each of them, and decided that I would just keep a whole bunch of them to make cards and pages and what have you, and just kind of start going at it. So I'm just kind of showing you, I'm stamping them with the stamp to coordinate with the thin cut, and I'm using intense black ink. That is so I can go ahead and color all of these, and I am going to use watercolor markers. I'm going to use water and stamp pads with like a little brush. And I'm just not sure what all kind of watercolor features I'm going to use, but I'm going to do a bunch of different things. And so that's why I'm using the intense black ink. That way I can color them and the black does not smear. And it also has the plus side of drying just so quickly. I mean, like, I've never smeared it. That's how quickly it dries. So I'm just going through and doing all the cleaning after I use my stamp. And first I season them. So I kind of rub them against my skin, and then I do a trial run of the inking. You've seen me do this before if you've come to my channel before. And so when I get a perfect stamp, then that's when I go ahead and do my stamping on my thin cut or on my page, whatever I'm doing. So this is the big one. It's a big, well, it's a big thin cut, but it's a bouquet of several pansies that is just, like I said, pansy has always been my favorite flower. I mean, when my grandmother was alive, she died in 91. I had asked her a number of years before that she picked up painting in her 60s. And so I asked her to paint me a bouquet of pansies, and it is hanging on my wall to this day. And in fact, I went and looked at her pansies when I was coloring these, because I really liked how she colored the pansies. So thank you, Grandma. So like I said, I'm cleaning each stamp as I go along. And now this one is just this little, it's, what do you call these? Like a little spray of flowers. So not exactly, it's not the stems, it's just the leaves and the flowers. And so those are going to make really pretty, hey, you know, I think wherever these go, they'll be wonderful. So now, this is how I do it most times, but what you can do is stamp all of these stamps on some white daisy or whatever color cardstock you're going to use, and then you can use the thin cut and tape around what you've already stamped, and then cut it out. And then you may get a little bit better white rim around your item that you're stamping than I do. I have to get right over this and try to line it up. Now I will tell you, this particular, you see that with the stem, it has a pretty good curve on it. Now when I just tried to put that down on the block, the stem went straight, and so I had to just lay it down and let it take its natural shape, and that's where the curve comes. So That's how it's supposed to be, curved like that. Now, if I had left my stamp straight, I wouldn't have been able to ink up that long stem. So anyway, just if you really want your stamp to be its natural shape, just go ahead and put it down on the table and then pick it up. You put it down front side down, and then you pick it up with your block. So now these are little bitty heads of pansy flowers. So, and these are super, super simple to line up. There's nothing hard about lining this up. I mean, you can see exactly how it goes. So there's one. See, it's not exactly even with the white space all around. Just so you know, I am going to get glasses this week, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm not seeing very well, and that's going to get taken care of. Okay, so we've got quite a bit to go. I'm kind of thinking I need to speed this up even more because, holy moly, it's a lot of stuff. Anyway, these are the leaves, and the leaves are going in 2 different directions. So you have to make sure you get the correct leaf to go on the correct thin cut. And so you can go, they can curve one way and curve the other. So you just have to be aware that they're going in 2 different directions. And I always find when I'm stamping to put all the likes together, and it just kind of turns into a little factory and makes it a lot more efficient for whatever work you're doing. That's just how, and I'm putting all of my pieces over here on a 12 by 12 white daisy. And see, it ends up being a lot of pieces and a lot of the same thing. So now I've got all of these flowers that I can use for a whole bunch of different things. So now I'm just going to go and color them. So I'm using this watercolor brush, and I pressed the top of the ink pad against the pad itself, and I get a little bit of color in the top plate. So then I use my brush that's wet and just pick up some color and start painting away. And it's really kind of fun, super easy to do. Don't have to be super precise. I can't be precise anyway. I don't see well enough to be precise, and my hand shakes. So there you go. So here we are, getting all these little leaves. And like I said, I like to do everything, all the same stuff at one time. So I'm putting most of the green down. I think there's a few that I missed. And I'm using the jade. Now I like the jade color, but I also got some of my tri-blend markers, and I'm going to use some of those, and a little bit different technique. I'm just kind of blobbing some ink onto the leaf because I really don't want to be super precise. There's nothing precise about leaves. I mean, they can, have different numbers of points on them and what have you. So here I'm using like a citrus, it's more like, I think it's the dull green that I'm using. And I'm using kind of the medium there to highlight the veins in the leaf, and then the lighter color I'm kind of filling in around the veins. And so that's another super easy way of coloring leaves. So, and this one I'm just putting the light green in first, and then I add some of the medium color inside on the veins. So the other thing that you can do is use the dark end and outline. I'm using the light here and kind of filling in all the blanks. I don't want these to be real dark because I'm going to be using pastel colors on my pansies. For the most part, pastel. I start using some pretty dark purple because pansy purple. Okay, and here I am outlining. And I mean, that's also kind of a neat thing to do, is to outline and then fill in with the lighter colors. So you outline in either the medium or the dark, and then fill in the lighter with the lighter. So you get some shading to give it some kind of a dimension. Now I'm using periwinkle and the watercolor brush again to do these pansies, because this happens to be one of my favorite pansy colors, is that kind of periwinkle blue. I mean, they're really lovely. I'm using peach here, but I'm not real happy with the color, although, as it dries, it really looks better. So I kind of put the peach away, and then that periwinkle is just beautiful. And that's like a little bud that hasn't opened up yet. I'm not sure why the computer stopped. Pansies a lot of times have kind of a yellow inside, and so I kind of add some yellow inside some of the pansies. So here's, and I got some wisteria too, because a lot of pansies are purple, and it's such a light purple. It's not that different from the periwinkle, just a little bit of a shade difference. And I'm kind of outlining those because I think I want the yellow on the inside. So these are, and I'm using honey butter. So honey butter is pretty much of a fairly dark yellow. And so I'm kind of filling in inside the wisteria to add a little bit of, because a lot of times the pansies are two colors. So, I always try to think of what they are in real life and then kind of go with that. So I decided I really like the way that yellow looks. So I'm going to make a couple of yellow pansies there. And see that peach one is really kind of turning into a really nice color as it dries. Now those are the bigger pansy heads. So I'm adding some periwinkle. I think that's periwinkle. Or wisteria. Could be the wisteria. So I'm going to try, this is one of the purple tri-blend markers. And so I'm using the dark to outline and the medium to do the veining in the middle, and then the light to fill in. And there are pansies that are that color too. I mean, I just love this. And I'm making those veins just a little bit darker with another purple. That looks so pansy-ish. My goodness. And I love this single flower. I think that this is a glorious, even if you don't get it with the thin cuts, if you just get the stamp, this is an absolutely beautiful stamp. I'm a little prejudiced, but this is really, I think, a really beautiful stamp. And spring is coming, so, well, I'm being optimistic, but it will come soon enough. And, one of the, flowers that can survive cold weather are pansies. So good for them. Now, I couldn't find an exact blue that I wanted with in my tri-blend markers. So I'm using this blue and kind of using the light blue to kind of fill in around. That's a little bright for me, but it's still blue and yellow, which not bad. Just add a little bit more yellow to it. So, see, I like the yellow so much. Now I'm using my yellow marker. And so the markers just make it so easy to, highlight the veining, color the outside of the edge of the border and then fill in. And it could be just me pretending in my mind, but it just to me adds some dimension. And so I've got all of these done. Now what I should do is leave some without color on them so I can match whatever I'm working on later on. But then I kind of go crazy. It's like, well, you can always use yellow pansies. And the marker just makes it it's just so easy. So if you don't have a bunch of markers, I mean, I never would have thought that I would have used markers like this, but good grief, for coloring, never thought I'd color either. I thought I was past that stage. But it's really enjoyable. It's very peaceful. It's very calming. And so pretty. So you can use different colors because these are all different stems of pansies. So, using different colors of the pansies just makes perfect sense. Not sure what I'm going to do here. Oh, I'm going to use these little buds that haven't opened up yet and make them yellow. And they can go with another one of the clusters. A lot of times the center of the pansies are yellow. And so I've decided to put the peach around the yellow. And it's nice and light looking. I should have put the third one on there, but I made the third one periwinkle, which is okay too. Now I need to color. I hadn't colored the green yet. There we go, the leaves. I think I'm using the medium one there, and then I'll fill it in with the light. See, the coloring goes, I don't know how long this is actually speeded up to 350. So I was probably coloring for about an hour, maybe. This is fun. I'm really enjoying this. And, if you're going to cut one or two die cuts, you might as well cut a bunch. And then when you want to make something, you can pull it out and just color it whatever color you want. So it kind of saves you time in the long run, and you're kind of in the groove while you're either die cutting or, in my case here, coloring. You're kind of in the groove for doing it, and so just go ahead and punch out a bunch of things at one time. You could even leave them black and white, actually. So there's a bunch of pansies and leaves, and what am I going to do here? That sort of looks, that looks like periwinkle to me. Putting that away, no telling what, I'm getting wisteria out again. I can't leave anything alone, right? So I'm just kind of filling it in. And I would say don't do the circle thing that I did. Just kind of use lines coming from either the outside in or the inside out rather than making circles. You kind of distort the whole thing if you make circles. So there we go. I think there's one more left. Do it in yellow. That's a lot of coloring. The only one I'm not fond of is that bright blue one. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of things I just did. And now I'm going to make a card for a card challenge, for the Atlantic Heart Card Challenge. And so that's the sketch up there. 562 is the sketch. And I'm just going to pick out which flower I like to go with this particular paper. And this paper was from Gnomes of Winter. And I picked it because it had the stripe, and they were showing a stripe in the card. And got my card, folding it, do a bone folder, make it nice and tight. And I'm just putting the stripes down at the bottom. Super simple. They didn't have to be individually cut stripes. And it just so happened that this paper had a stripe paper in it, so woohoo. There we go. Easy. Here's a zip strip. Easy. And I wanted really to use Thinking of You, but this the Grateful, it fits, but I sort of wanted, so I went and cut some frames, and I cut a bunch of them, so I have them to use, so that it would fit the Thinking of You. And I am going to ink it in intense black, so it stands, and it's doing a beautiful job of first time shot here. So this is a beautiful swirly Thinking of You. Look at that. I'll go ahead and put that away. And I decided that I would put my stamp away and my block away. So I'm going to ink around the edge. I'm going to distress the edge a little bit with some periwinkle ink just to kind of give it some blue to go with the rest of the card. I just didn't want it to just be white. And I'm trying to think of how should I do this. I want to show as much of the flowers as I can. I'm going to put a little thin foam tape on there to pop up the sentiment just a little bit. And I wanted to kind of fit in there like that. And so I'm going to pop up the pansy a little bit more than so I'm using the thick foam tape. So it's going to be on top of the sentiment. Go ahead and, I don't put as much foam tape on things as a lot of women do. They load it up. But I don't. So the other thing is there's a little kind of some of the thread that's coming out from behind the sentiment. So I'm going to use some of my silver thread. The gold just didn't look good with all these blues and periwinkles. So the silver is perfect. It's got that cool look that goes with the blues. So I'm going to go ahead and put that behind there, but it's too far over, so I want to kind of have it come out a little bit more. And I stuck it. God, do I do those kind of things all the time? Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm going to put my little flowers down and then tuck the little Thinking of You kind of behind there, and then just kind of spread out my little silver threads. And I've got a card all set to go. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got my little pansy here. So I'm going to put a little pansy on the back, and then I'll get my envelope and put some pansies on my envelope. And that will be it for me. So I'm going to put a little cluster, couple of pansies, and a little leaf. And I inked the leaf in mist, and I should have done a second generation, but I thought it was much lighter than this, but it should have been a second generation, but that's okay. That's fine. So there we go. There's my card. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and come back and see what else I do with all these flowers. Remember, this is the stamp of the month for February 2024. I like how you can just maneuver that thread all around. There we go. Bye now.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Smith. Thanks for watching my video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and learn along with me. Thanks. Bye-bye.